Welcome back to This is Dunder Moose. Oh my goodness, y'all. We got friend of the show, BW1776, back on. I feel like we don't get him very often because dude is crazy busy. He's got a crazy busy life, and yet still found a way to put together over 100 pages of Braunstein goodness in UMBROS. I don't know if anybody in my audience hasn't already checked this thing out yet, but if you haven't yet, you really need to. I've got some links in the chat. Let me first off grab the link to his blog, B-Dubs and Dragons. This is like actual historical BROSR stuff. Like if you read this, you will get caught up like from the beginning of the hobby. Let me also throw in, I got https://tinyurl.com. Want to make sure I get this right. Last time when Dungeon Delver was on, I mistyped it and sent everybody to a malware. So let me get this right. UMBROS, Earth. Boom. All right. So here's the thing. And I even went through it today, like even right before we went on the air. There is this like masochistic urge that the BROSR just has to try and share the genius that we have been able to experience. We have played games that are above and beyond anything that we played before. And we got super excited about it, and we keep trying to teach people how to do it. And it just seems like there's always either a resistance or a stubbornness or a unawareness or whatever, however you want to say it. But you know what? Are the bros deterred? Not in the slightest. Why? Because we are not doing this for the accolades. We are not doing this for the money. We're not doing this for all the warm fuzzies Twitter has to offer us. We're doing this because we love you and because you need to come to Christ. So with that being said, B-Dubs, welcome back to the show. Tell me a little bit about where the idea for UMBROS came from. We already had BROZER. We had it. Cue me up about this whole UMBROS thing. When did this idea start?
When did UMBROS start? Good question. That's a good one. It's almost like I told you in the green room to ask me that question. But before we start, is it good to be alive on the Dunder Moose podcast? Starting late at 8:40-ish on a Sunday before Thanksgiving in the United
Hey, it works
States
for Black Lodge Games, right?
Or what? What do you think, guys? Let's get some excitement in the chat. Those 4 of you that showed up. There's no clickbait in this title whatsoever, so you guys are the only ones that will listen to this. Because when you're scrolling YouTube, you're going to say, what's an UMBROS? What's a B-Dubs? None of these things interest me. I tried to say put PvP in the thing.
Here's what should interest you. PvP can save your doomed campaign,
it can.
And UMBROS changes the game forever. How about that? Is that interesting enough?
Yeah, it would have been great to put it in the title so we get some clicks later. This is gonna have less listens than any of them.
In 2026, I shall get good at YouTube.
It might
happen.
How about,
okay.
But you got to get good at Braunsteins. That's what needs to happen. This will be the best one.
Everybody needs to get good at Braunsteins.
Look at that.
Dungeoneer $9.99. This will be the best one yet. Thank you for the $9.99, bro. And he's also got some hands-on experience with UMBROS. And Patrick Lee with the $4.99. Greetings. I greet you back, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, Dungeoneer owes me $9.99 for getting my PC killed in Brigadine's game of Bloodfall. But that's fine. He gives that money to you. How did I come up with UMBROS? Why? Why now? How did that happen? Well, here's the deal. Seriously? I had a lot of ankle biters saying, you don't even know what a total nonstop Braunstein is. You just like saying that. You know what? You're right. I did like saying it because it was cool. And when you're on the cutting edge, you big dweebs, when you're on the cutting edge, you don't have everything defined immediately because you're cutting the edge. That's what it means. That's what it means to be on the cutting edge, is you got to kind of figure it out. You got to play test. You got to ponder. You got to pontificate. You got to think about it. You got to be like a little like Jeffro Jr. I feel like I'm like a Jeffro Jr.
Jeffro Jr.
He trained me.
You got to be the first follower.
Yep. You do. Sometimes.
Right. So let me tell you about a football game I just went to. We're sitting there. It is below freezing. It's the Western Michigan Broncos, and I'm in this stadium, and it's below freezing. It's a Tuesday night game. Nobody's there, right? Just very slim pickings audience. I see one dude run into the stands behind the uprights for the opposing team. He goes up there where they hadn't even cleared off the snow yet. He rips off his shirt and starts whipping it around over his head, right? Just hollering obscenities at the other team, whipping his shirt around, and then you see another dude do it. And all it took was that other dude to do it, and then every male in the student section mobbed it, and they filled up that whole side of the stadium. Just a bunch of idiots in sub-zero weather whipping their shirts over their they had no shirts on. They were whipping their clothes over their heads, and it was hilarious, and it was inspiring, and I think it intimidated the other team because the Broncos won. And so you got the tribal chief, you got Jeffro, who we have talked about this. Like, that man was never satisfied. He would come up with just an absolute jaw dropper of an interpretation of the rules or an application of them. We would all be like, whoa, we would try it. It would revolutionize the game, and we'd get so happy. And Jeffro would be like, no, there's still something that needs fixing. Like, he was the cutting edge of that. And you were the guy that when he came up with something and said, maybe we should try this, full chest, full support. Not only should we try this is the only thing we should be trying to do right now. Let's put everything, all engines forward. What was that like? Like, do you feel like you went beyond what he was even comfortable with sometimes?
Yeah. I mean, agreeing with Jeffro is uncomfortable, right? But yeah, no. If I was going to describe the BROSR, I would definitely say a bunch of shirtless dudes in below zero weather. That's a great metaphor. Bunch of shirtless dudes waving their shirts. But yeah, no. I would be like, Jeffro, this sounds crazy. What are you doing? And Jeffro came to me on this show, your most viewed show, which had a great RPG. It had a great clickbait title. RPGs are fake, broken, and dumb. That's partially why it did so well.
Yeah.
So that's I look forward to the 100 views this one's going to get. 18. And he said on that show, B-Dubs is seen beyond the horizon. That's my Jeffro impersonation.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable. And I don't feel comfortable in Lindy Hop and Charleston Chew. And, okay, no, he didn't say those parts, but I'm just kind of doing a Jeffro impersonation. But all right, I'm a little silly tonight, guys. Just trying to have some fun. But
that's right.
But no, basically the idea is, and he was talking about total nonstop Braunstein, because I told him we just Braunstein every session. And he admitted that on your show, like, that's wild. He didn't think about it. Why would we Braunstein every session? Now, to be fair, he actually did it first with his Traveler campaign, which you played a small part in. I think you were there for most of those sessions, or maybe all of them. But I
played a small part in like killing half of the people that were in the first session.
Yeah, I mean that's just how BROSR games go. It's like
I played a small part in ruining everybody else's fun.
Ruining everyone else's fun. There's Dundermoose calls it Tuesday. So.
Yeah.
So, but like he did it with the Traveler campaign. He just basically every session was a Braunstein. Yeah, Dunder is a threat and a menace. Actually, he's both. Put your hands together, my friend.
I'm only a menace if you're a threat.
He's a threat if you're a menace, and it could go either way. But so he was talking about on this show the total nonstop Braunstein. So I started saying, what would that mean? What can I actually define this thing? Because I got all the dweebs saying I can't define it because I was saying it was a mindset thing because all their mindsets are terrible and annoy me, and ran Jeffro off because you guys were just that terrible.
Well, that's the scariest part about agreeing with Jeffro is all the slobber chins coming at you. Like they just crawl out of the woodwork immediately.
Man, it's Attack of the Soup Aisle. I'll tell you that right now. It's like Walking Dead, but it's a soup aisle. They're all carrying their chunky. They got their progressive. Their Progresso.
Their low sodium minestrones.
Yeah, they got their minestrones. They're throwing ramen at you. It's awful. It's just awful. Agreeing with Jeffro is a tough thing to do. But I had to deliver on the total nonstop Braunstein is my point. I know it seems like I'm not getting to a point. I'm just having fun.
I'm not letting you. It's my fault.
Hey, we're all still wondering about that shirtless dude thing in the snow. I don't know what that was all about. So, but go ahead, go with your next question because I think I answered that one or whatever the hell I was.
Yeah. All right. So we get How to Win. That comes out, and then we get BROZER. And by the way, I don't think people realize how fast this man works. BROZER came out at light speed, like really fast. I don't know how long you were working on UMBROS. I did notice like you seem to get a little bit quieter in the back channels for a minute, like just a minute. And then boom, 100 pages drops. And it's like, hey guys, I got something I want to try. Let's, I mean, you were super, super clandestine about it. We play tested it. We put it through the ringer and then it was like out. It was just there. And I was like, oh crap, get on this. What are we doing? Right. So, where do you think, would you say that BROZER did not go far enough? And is that why you had to make UMBROS?
BROZER did not discuss the total nonstop Braunstein. So that was the number one.
So BROZER famously in one of the opening essays talked about the 3 types of Braunstein, right? We got type 1, which is the session Braunstein, which is the original actual like Braunstein TM Braunstein was a session Braunstein that Wesley ran. And then we had the type 2, which is I'm getting to the page here. The type 2 was the play by post, right?
Yeah.
And then type 3 was the one that the BROSR tried first. The always on campaign.
The always on, the DM eater. The one that just
devoured.
It's really, really fun, and it works fantastically if you are stuck inside with no human interaction due to a global pandemic. Yeah. So it works great for that. If you can't see your friends, the apocalypse. If you can't see your friends, it works great. It's great.
And even if you see them, if you don't know what they look like from the nose down.
That is true. So yeah, so Jeffro famously flipped the table and was like, we got to stop with this always on stuff. It's eating the DMs. The always on DMs were like, bro, I'm having fun. So, is a sort of like a, almost like a, is like a, what's the word? The like peace offering to those DMs. Like, hey, okay, I'll put it as one of the types of Braunsteins. He makes the always on one of the types. To sort of tell them, like, I'm not saying it's invalid. I'm just saying this other type might be something that more regular guys might be able to pull off, like the type 1 once in a while or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think the DMs that had issue with the legacy bros that had problems with that, they don't see that was like he was trying to make good for them, and it's a shame they didn't see that. But the point of the total nonstop Braunstein is it's sort of like a mix of the always on and the other type. It's kind of like mixing them all together. It's putting all the best parts of them, because what we found is the always on is a lot of fun. It's good. It's great. I love it. We had some of the most amazing stories from that, but we also have some of the most amazing burnouts from that. So
yeah, well, Brovenloft.
Yeah, Brovenloft has not happened again. It got threatened for 3 years now after it actually happened, because the DM kept saying, "I'll do it again, I will." But then when he starts,
then the PTSD kicks in.
Yeah, he starts getting the shakes. The shell shock starts to hit.
But you know what though? He ran the whole thing the first time and he stuck it out, right? Yeah. Then we had or Bro-Oriental Adventures, and that ate the DM so quickly that he like flamed out in the middle of it, right?
Yeah.
So let me just point out for you guys playing along in the home game, for those that already have this book, chapter 3 goes into Braunstein-style play, and it has a section on what is the BROSR. Right, so you are taking this from a beginner-friendly approach. You go all the way back to 2020, and you walk them through, and it's not like a huge history. You know, it's a single page. You walk them through where did BROSR start and bring them all the way up to UMBROS. The very next section, 1-to-1 Jeffro-Gaxian timekeeping. I don't know why people just cannot fit this in their head. You, even with an awesome illustration, you sum it up in 1.5 pages in a way that anybody that is literate can read and understand.
Yeah, man.
You talk about some stuff that I haven't seen addressed too often, aside from like a few BROSR blogs, the diffusion and convergence. And like, you don't just define what it is, but you start giving examples of downtime activities that are diffusive, downtime activities that are conversive. I'm not sure. I'm butchering the English language.
That was perfect.
Thank you. Perfect. My point is, you say, okay, let me see. It's the third paragraph here. That is why diffusion must be managed. Allow it in small doses, but make sure it feeds into convergence. My rule: for every 3 diffusion orders a player gives, demand at least 1 that leads to convergence. Generally speaking, a referee should not expend a great deal of time adjudicating orders focused on diffusion. So, I mean, that seems like a simple paragraph, but that is some hard-earned info that you learned over the course of your blog, Be Dubs and Dragons, your Dubs Are On campaign. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about how you came to your idea of diffusion and convergence, and when a DM should step in and say, okay, that's enough total player agency. What you're doing is harming the campaign. Let's corral it.
Yeah, no, I definitely can. I mean, Jeffro came up with those terms generally, I think. I know that Fluid put them on his blog and made the engine metaphor thing of like
the heat engine.
Yeah, the heat engine. So I get that. I came up with the 3-to-1 for UMBROS. It wasn't something I practiced explicitly when I ran Dubs Are On. It's just kind of my best kind of guess of like, okay, I think 3-to-1 would be okay because it's kind of like the golden mean, 3, that kind of deal.
Well, but I feel like there's certain things that are instinctual that you learned along the way and you like internalized it. And this is like when you were writing it, you were capturing what your subconscious does when you're just running.
People can go back and listen to my old blogs when I was still running Dubs Are On, and it was less of like the diffusion convergence thing. We didn't have those terms back then, but it was a lot of like that downtime order was boring. I would say like boring or cool or interesting, and now we know it's like, okay, it was boring because it was just that guy playing by himself, making money, and occasionally he would demand the DM. I mean, he wouldn't necessarily explicitly demand, but implicitly for sure, hey DM, I need your attention for this. And a lot of the BROSR theory, particularly Brig in particular, is like, okay, you can have those do those solo things, but you just got to give them attention. They have to have oversight. And my thing is like, okay, we can do a little bit of that, maybe 3-to-1, like 1 in favor of every 3, or 3 in favor of every 1. But you can't expect me to like come up with the NPC shopkeep that you want to make money off of, like, and me to review it. You can't expect me to review your spreadsheets to make sure they're cool and review your solo play layer smashing to make sure that the stats add up or that it's going to make convergence stop. If you're that bad, like, bro, I have like a job where I can play with spreadsheets. Okay. I don't need to do it in the game. And it's not explicitly part of Raw. It's not explicitly part of the rules. It's not demanded. Me and Jeff are already realized and discussed on this show of like, you can kind of tell when you hear about like Gary and them, and you can tell when he's like annoyed in the DMG with like player behavior. It generally sounds like diffusion.
Yeah.
You can I can't think of any explicit ones because I'm not like the book guy like Jeffro. I'm not going to go to the DMG and find it. But you definitely can read it and get that vibe. Like
here's one from yours. From like, it sounded like Dubs Are On diffused into a game of NPC layer smashing.
Big time.
So what did you do about that? How did you solve that? How did you realize it was a problem? And like, how does that suck the fun out of the gaming for for the party.
Yeah, the layer smashing stuff. Dubsrun never fixed it. I tried to fix it with some. Session Braunsteins. Had some success at that. A couple of the layer smashing things that turned out to kind of flatten the campaign. I was able to get some good Session Braunsteins out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it never got to the point of like a total nonstop Braunstein where I could keep going. And I think Dubsrun could have, but I would have had to really kind of like mold the square peg into the round hole.
Yeah.
And kind of fix all, because when you let the players layer smash for like a couple of years, you know, everyone has like 1 million gold. Like all the patrons have like 500,000 gold or 1 million gold, and
yeah,
you know, 10,000 troops, and it's like,
well, you know what? Time out. Let's catch them up. If someone's watching this and they're like, okay, you guys are starting to throw out some lingo. What do you mean when you say layer smash? What do you mean when you say flatten the campaign?
All right, layer smash. Okay, there's a couple things you have to understand layer smashing. First, you have to understand that when you go into the monster manual in your favorite D&D games, especially AD&D and Axe, you will see a layer percentage of like the chance the monster's in a layer, like 20%, 50%, blah blah blah. Which means when you come across that monster in the wilderness, you may have come across their lair rather than just like 10 of them or whatever. Okay, so that's number one. When you're playing always on time and people go out in the wilderness and just run around in circles, they're going to start creating layers by encountering monsters. Then they encounter the orc lair because it's like 30% chance or whatever. Then you do your treasure type, random treasure generation from your AD&D monster manual, and they have, let's say, 5 grand of gold pieces. All right, so you got a lair. You ran around the wilderness, you found a lair, you found some orcs, you found 5K on them. So you just beat them up because you have like a troop of like 1,000 men, and there's like 200 orcs there. So you just easily stomp them in the face. You take their 5,000 gold. You pay 1,000 or 2,500 or whatever to your soldiers. They go get drunk, and you just made 2,500. Then you do it over and over and over again every day in real time, like playing Bejeweled. So that's kind of layer smashing with always on time.
It's low risk, high reward. You don't have to go into the dungeon where your men won't come with you. You don't have to face anything super big bad. You're just kind of gaming the overland random tables.
And you're gaming the stats. It's basically like you will make money doing it even if it takes time. And so it's just a time investment. So it's a low risk time investment to eventually make cash. And if you have a couple of patrons or high level characters doing that for 6 or 7 months, they're all going to have like 100 grand, 200 grand. So they have a lot of money.
And how does that flatten the campaign then?
It flattens the game because then the PCs that play at a lower level are like, well, I'm not doing anything for at least 20 grand. This patron has a ton of money. Why would they wouldn't cross the street unless it was 10 grand. Like they weren't doing anything. So so always on can cause that issue. So the way to fix that with always on is to do some occasional or frequent session Braunsteins to kind of like, okay, you can't layer smash, you got to do a Braunstein to get that layer and to get that 5 grand, that 10 grand, whatever it is. So there's some ways you can fix it with always on. My approach with UMBROS is to advise people just to not worry about trying to fix always on and just go total nonstop, and always have sort of a Braunstein going on in the background every session, and it's more feasible because it's a session Braunstein every week, basically.
Nice.
Which is the definition of total nonstop Braunstein for you dweebs who said I didn't have one. That is it. It's a weekly Braunstein. I've been telling you idiots for this for 4 years or whatever, 3 years since Jeff Rose started talking about Braunsteins, but I didn't want to repeat it to you because you were too stupid to listen the first couple times I said it.
Hey man, I feel that so hard today. Like it started with a conversation where everyone was like, well, I can't say everyone. There was 2 people, both of whom I am friendly with on X, right? One of whom like I'm good buds with, and he's been on the show. And one of them, the one that hasn't been on the show, it was like, man, the BROSR have some sweet ideas, but there's such a bunch of jerks. And then the other one stood up for me and was like, well, Dundermoose is nice.
Dundermoose is nice. He even looks normal tonight with your glasses,
Dundermoose,
no mustache,
no blue hair,
hoodie.
The Dundermoose is nice, and it, you know, like on the one hand, hey, that feels good to hear people say that, but then on the other hand, it's like you can't be nice while people are trashing your friends. you're not nice if that's you. If people are trashing your friends and you're nice about it, then you're not nice to your friends. Does that make sense? And so I got kind of frustrated, and I in an open letter lamented the fact that we have been playing with this stuff for 4 years now. Not only have we had the time of our lives, had the games of our life, and this is not this is not something that we have done all by itself because we never played any other RPGs, right? Like, we played the same stuff all of y'all play. We played 2014 5th edition. You know, we did the Lost Mine of Phandelver. We did that stuff. We had that experience, and we found something that is better, something that far surpasses it. And we wanted to share that joy so that other people could experience it. And it has just been nothing but ankle biters and backbiters and people that have not played and will not play, trying to refute, trying to make declarative statements about stuff they don't understand, telling us the stuff that we've already done is impossible. And I just made the point, you know what? Maybe some of the BROSR guys sound like a-holes, but it's not because they're jerks. It's because you cannot. There was an old Cosby show, or maybe it was this part of his stand-up, where he was talking about how, like, your parents used to be cool, and if you're wondering what happened, you did. Right? Like, you can't stay cool when you tell somebody to put something down 7 times in a row. Put that down, put that down, put that down, put that down, and you lose your cool. And the bros did not start. Well, maybe some of us maybe started off as a-holes. I don't know. But the thing is you can only have the same conversation with people who seem already disposed to not understand it. You can only do that so many times before you either decide, I'm just going to white knuckle my politeness and just keep doing it, and just let the sandpaper go over my raw exposed nerves every single time, in the hopes that maybe this time I'll explain it in such a way that they'll get it. Or you can say, you know what? I've tried. He who has an ear, let him hear, and just dunk on him. And that's why people say, well, you're a jerk. And then even as I was explaining this, I had it happen to me. And I tried to explain one-to-one time, which has been known since 2020, 2021. I tried to explain it to somebody who was willfully not understanding it. And then they started in on me. And I said, do you see, if I come back at this guy with this same energy, the message will be, the bros are so mean. There's such means. And it's like, you know what? Who isn't mean after that? Right? Well, I'll tell you what, who would go through all that and still keep giving you this stuff for free? This book, this wisdom, is $0 on DriveThruRPG. You can have all of the benefits of 4 years of cutting edge research into the heart of the hobby and beyond. All you got to do is accept it. And there's people that are not willing to. So the reason I love UMBROS more than BROZER, and I was a big BROZER fan, guys. You guys know I was flogging BROZER. I love this because you have a section for each of the types of Braunstein, right? Type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. Not only do you explain what it is and how it works, you give examples of play in here. You give your advice for how you would run it, how it should go. And this is not theory crafting like you get from 90% of the haters. This is a guy who's done it multiple times, who's been a player, who's been the DM, who's been consulted on these things. You cannot, I don't know where else you can get such advanced, high level wisdom and understanding from somebody who's at the epicenter of this movement, and get it for free and have it like just distributed to you. And you can, even if I don't know any other bros, I can run this at my table. I can get my buds together and we can play UMBROS, and they can see what it's like. And I just by buying this and reading it, I can jump 4 years ahead of where I was. And not because I have to do a bunch of reading and understanding, but because it's just been broken down for me in this thing. So sorry for venting. I know that I'm not talking about anything that you haven't already gone through. I know you probably handle it way different than I do.
Good Lord. What was that? So mean. Man, I hope, all right. I mean, hey, the Dundermoose villain arc is already off to a better start than the basic expert villain arc. So there you go. So he's already meaner and more of a villain.
Oh
Just say he
man,
can't handle it. You're doing it, man. I started off as a villain because the winning secret that matters to me is that they all ankle bite, back bite, soup bite, whatever it is, because soup slurp, because they are subjectivists, and we say something is objectively true.
That's right.
And in 2025, United States, modernity, postmodernity, it is unacceptable to believe anything is objectively true except nothing is objectively true. So, with that being said, I realized that long ago, including going back to when Jeffro wrote his Appendix N book, and I saw the bad way he was treated on Google Plus.
Oh man,
the hive of villainy and sodomy and evil and disgust that those losers from the OSR used to hang out there. So I knew when he started experimenting and when we started experimenting with these ideas and people were rejecting them, it was because they reject the idea that anything could actually be objectively true. So that's why they do that. And therefore, I never had a nicey nice phase like yourself. But we welcome you to the dark side. This is the Dundermoose heel turn, and it's beautiful.
Oh, man. I just got $2 from my ear trumpet for it. Here's to the Dundermoose villain arc. Oh, man.
There it is. Man, making more cash on his heel turn than Cena. Look at that. It's just getting paid. Amazing. Your heel turn's already better than Cena's. So how about that?
I know. Okay, so I'm feeling like Jeffro when you were pushing total. Like I have not ever been able to pull off the heel roll. I just
we could use a goofy. I don't know if there's a bit to get a goofy heel. Rob is
Bob
here.
Goes, it's happening.
Bob Stevens is here. Let us know, Bob, if there's ever been like a goofy Dundermoose style heel. I don't know who that would be. I don't know. They're usually cool.
Well, didn't you at one point call me the Sami Zayn of?
You're the Sami Zayn of the BROZER for sure. Like, it's not even a joke. If anyone knows Sami from the WWE, it's Dunder's definitely him. He's an honorary ooze for sure.
Mr. BC Walker says complimentary Hugo Boss power suit to be shipped to Dunder and arrived by Xmas so he can heal in style. And I don't know who Doink the Clown is.
Yeah, Doink the Clown. That was a wrestler. It was Vince would dress up any wrestler he was mad at, make him dress as a clown and go out there and be Doink the Clown. It's a real thing. Yeah. But WWE is the rights to Doink the Clown.
That's my heel arc is Doink the Clown.
Oh man. Can we get back to UMBROS? Good Lord.
Please. All right. Let me gather this. In addition to a definition of all the types, we've got the appendices. And the first one you talk about in Appendix A is docketing. What on earth do you mean by docketing?
Docketing is something that is kind of theory. Well, no, I did try. I tried it back with Dubs Run. It was one of the first things I did with Patreon.
You were the first person, maybe the only one that I've heard of talking about docketing. So I'm interested in this.
Yeah, no, docketing is like, you've got like those guys on Twitter. Oh, let's go ahead. What do we got here?
Says, I heard Dunder's going to do an Oprah and buy everyone a copy of UMBROS. I already have, Jacob. Look under your chair. I'm going to throw the link back in the thing. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, throw it in. Yeah, you can all have a copy under your chair because it's free. It's free on drive-through, the PDF. When the print comes out, it will be for the cost of printing. I will not make money on that because I would prefer to add to the common good than make dozens of dollars on you guys. It's not worth the trouble.
The fighting is so intense because the stakes are so low.
The amount of money you can get is so low. It's hilarious to me how much the PDF merchants lose their minds. They lose their minds over us chipping away at the $12 or $13 they're going to make for PDF. It's absurd. I start looking at the amount of time it took me to do UMBROS, and I start putting into hours. I'm like, this is like 50 cents an hour.
We're gonna come after you legally so that we can win enough in court to go to Sizzler.
Yeah.
Sick of all this soup, man.
Yeah, UMBROS. Well, you asked me about how long it took me. UMBROS probably took me about 3 months, off and on, messing around with
amazing.
it. Yeah, I did it about 3 months, I think.
It doesn't read like something that was written in 3 months. I'll say there's a Gene Wolfe quote that I've always admired. He says, "Easy writing is hard reading." Right, and so things that you just dash off quickly, and it's hard to read them. But like this, I don't know. Maybe it's just your writing style. I don't know what kind of writing.
Well, you haven't read it, so you haven't actually read it yet.
Bro, I read it. If I read every last little word, no, I haven't read all the factions.
You don't need to read all the factions, guys. When you read it, if you want to jump all the way to the Braunstein, I did. It took me a while to figure out what order I wanted to put it in. But because I did the examples of play, I felt like it was important to put the factions first, so you know like who the heck I was talking about in the examples of play. Like if this faction does this in the example, or this or this or this, it's like if those guys were later in the book, you'd be like, well, who is that? Who are you talking about? So it's assumed that you're going to read the whole thing, and which is like kind of it's something Briggs said, which is the DMG and Player's Handbook of 1E. It's not like a reference text. It's more like it assumes you're going to read the whole thing and sort of like digest it.
Yeah.
And UMBROS is kind of the same way. It assumes you're going to read it. It's also something you can reference. That's why I did appendices. But primarily, I assume you're going to kind of read the whole thing, kind of get it. If you're the DM, if you're the player, you're just going to read the player section in your faction. And then you're probably, if you actually play one of these session Braunsteins, you're going to be like, well, heck yeah, I want to go take that to my players, and then you will probably read the whole thing. But
yeah, well, and you can just print off each of the patron faction sheets and hand them out, and so people got something to start off on. But this idea of docketing, I want to get back to docketing. There've been Braunsteins that I played in where, like, in the middle of a combat, the DM's like, "All right, I trust you guys to finish this. I got to jump somewhere else," right? And like, there are times when like 4 big things can be happening at the same time. So, what is your solution?
Yeah, my solution is docketing, which is essentially you kind of do the Bradford Walkerian clubhouse model of kind of like putting it on the calendar. And it's like, okay, we got like, you basically report to your DM like, okay, I have 100 troops going here. Turns out the other guy has 50 troops and they're going to be in that same location. Or the DM confirms like that's going to happen. And the DM says, look, this is going to happen. You guys should war game this out. And it needs to be done by this date. And it's like, okay, do you guys have the gumption for that? Or do you just want me to, like, what normally happens in always on games is people would just, the DM would go, in the best case scenario, the DM would go and like kind of roll it out with some sort of fast resolution method. Like I use battle rating with Axe. And then they would just report to the players. And honestly, the players really only care about like, did I lose my guys? Did I win? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you read the Player's Handbook from 1E and you know that war games are happening in this kind of group model of like the 50 people or whatever that 1E says you have in your campaign. So what occurred to me is that you can docket that and you can say, I don't remember my example, but it's like, okay, the good guy has 100 troops. The bad guy has 50. They're going to meet on this hex on this date. And then you put it on the calendar and you invite whoever wants to play on either side to be there. If those guys who are controlling those dudes want to be the ones to play, that's great, but they need to do it by a certain date. And they can go look for one of the war game GMs, referees that are hopefully in your clubhouse to do it. Now, of course, the DM can do it. The players can both do it. You can all show up and do that. That's great. But I get a sense from what we've heard about the Lake Geneva group that probably wasn't the way it was going down. It was probably like there were some war game referees that did the war game stuff, and then Gary would probably report what was going on, and then the guys who actually ran the wars maybe weren't actually there, which would work fine if you sent, especially if you sent like an officer or NPC to do it. Like if it wasn't your actual player character, but he sent like his his henchman or retainer to go lead the army, it even makes even more sense. But at the same time, if you don't show up, you got to have that trust to let somebody else run it and let another person referee it and just deal with the consequences. And that's docketing.
Yeah. And this happened with Stormbringer, right? John Mollison?
Yeah, it did. We docketed that. I mean, the Stormbringer event, which you can see on YouTube.
He recorded all of them and they're still up.
Yeah, if you search Fate of Stormbringer, I believe it'll probably come up. And it's probably like 20 little 5-minute videos or whatever. And that was a docket. I said, hey, Mr. Wargaming, I have this thing that's happening. Can you do this for the BROSR as a group? That was me that asked him, and he did, because he's a nice guy, and that's kind of the deal. And you kind of have to almost be like, in these types of campaigns, you almost have to be like the booker and kind of like help massage these situations into happening. You can't just look at yourself as a DM only. You have to be like, okay, can we get somebody else involved? And you hear on Twitter all the time, these guys are like, oh yeah, D&D's a war game. It's a war game. It's like, well, first off, D&D is a Braunstein. It's not a war game. But if you war game guys would actually like do some actual play and help us out and docket some of these games for us, which I haven't seen happen.
That would be amazing.
I've tried to make it happen multiple times. The Bro XT play it hasn't happened because a lot of those D&D as a war game guys, just want to be on Twitter talking all the time about like, oh, chainmail is so cool. The chainmail stuff, guys, it's gay. Stop with the chainmail stuff, okay? Enough with the D&D's all about chainmail. Okay, D&D is all about Braunsteins, and you guys all need to be about being less gay on the timeline, okay? I don't want to hear so much about chainmail, okay? Hell March or whatever, good. I'm glad the guy's making his tens of dollars, but I need to stop hearing about it on the timeline. It's confusing everyone. The messaging is stupid. You guys are terrible at propaganda and rhetoric. Get it together. D&D is a war game, is a Braunstein, not a war game. Thank you. But hey, I will change my mind if any of you actually docket anything for any of the bros ever. Can we do it one time? Once? And do any of you accomplish that, or do you just want to be on the timeline all day pushing Hell March? I'm sick of it. Get to work. Do some stuff for the clubhouse.
I have lost control of this show once again.
You never had control, my friend. You never had it.
All right. Let me try to bring it all together. I think docketing was I think that was the original. I think we got it backwards. I think originally they wanted to do war games, but they wanted their war games to mean something, right? Like everyone's gone to the football game where you're like, I don't know anything about either of these teams. I don't care who wins. I like red better than blue, right? But if like you got your dad sitting there next to you and he starts telling you, oh, well, here's the thing, this guy was injured and now he's back for the first time. And this coach is a Christian and he got persecuted for his beliefs. And like that tells you the background. Then the game starts to matter a lot more and mean something, right? So like the war gamers, they need this Braunstein to lend context and give weight to the fight. How much more important is it when the forces clash if they both have weeks of play behind them? Like, tell me what it was like, because John Mollison didn't just put the whole fight up once, right? Like was it every week or was it every night he was dropping another turn?
It was in the morning. He would drop it in the morning.
So like how many people were just like biting their fingernails and like hitting refresh until it could load to see what happened this turn? Are we going to win or are we going to lose? Right.
I know. I mean, it wasn't hundreds or anything, but I know there was a handful. Definitely everybody was involved that was curious about Brovenloft. Most of the Dubs Run players were watching.
There were like 3 or 4 campaigns. That was like a multi-cross one-to-one campaign. It was like Marvel versus DC.
I kind of universe. Yeah, I kind of bullied them. They bullied me into be like, "Oh, explode your son." So I bullied them back and be like, "All right, whatever happens here affects all your campaigns."
Right on, man.
Campaigns at that time, and every morning, Brig would message me with his struggle session, like, "John did this wrong. The stats were wrong. We're going to lose our campaign because he rolled that wrong." I'm like, dude, chill. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. But yeah, so man, transdimensional stuff gets mixed up as it jumps over the divide, right?
Yeah, I could do that. Looks like you got yourself some cash there. What's going
All
on?
right, yeah, gelatinous rube, another friend of the show, $10. Thank you, sir. Public counter signaling for extra tens of dollars just to derail BROZER's BROZER. What am I talking? BROSR's. That's from another guest. BROSR's meteoric rise was terrible. Take my tens of dollars. Soon, all bro games / war games will be available as docket cards on our sites. Heck yeah, bro.
Yeah, I
And
love
thanks
it.
again.
Docket card is a great idea. I hope that my explanation was good enough to work with. Again, it was going from theory, based on the fact that John was able to pull that off for me, and he is the only wargamer who's actually docketed anything for me ever, as far as I know. So, no, we did it. We did a Brooks T thing. I think I got 2 things docketed last year.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 total. So that's pretty
We
lame.
need more of that.
Wargamers, you
we
guys
need to unite the clans.
look,
Despite, I know how you feel about chainmail and the timeline lately, but we do need to unite the clans of the BROSR back together.
You wargamers, stop huffing your paint, okay? And get to work playing some war games, all right? Get your paint thinner out of your nose. Stop painting the figures, okay? Play some actual games like the rest of us, please. We're tired of hearing about. We don't want to hear about chainmail anymore. Play chainmail. Stop talking about chainmail. Enough. What? Dude. How about this, guys? 1 war game docket per tweet about chainmail. Can we do that?
Right.
There it is. There's your challenge. There's your challenge for this one.
I did not think I would ever have an episode where B-Dubs would say something that would get Griff nodding his head and rubbing his hands. Yes.
I love Griff Morgan. Griff Morgan's my hero, my man. He's great.
Rock on, bro.
He may have blocked me, but he's still my hero. He's my best friend. Griff Morgan. He's my hero.
You are my favorite guest ever.
I'm pro Griff. I'm pro Griff Morgan. I'm pro Nick Fuentes. They both blocked my ass.
No.
What can I say? You're about to get kicked off the algo for that. You're gonna get a visit. You're gonna get a visit for that comment. All right, let's get back to UMBROS. Stop laughing.
My next guest will be Kanye West.
Oh, you got another one. Look at Josh is up.
Josh, who's going to be dancing at your firstborn's wedding, says, "We love the war gamers who play their war game."
Yeah, all 3 of them.
Thanks for the $9.99, bro. And DM Raptor says, hashtag.
He just gave you more dollars than I've seen war games played this year.
Wait, no, that's not fair because they're solo war games.
Solo doesn't count. I don't want to hear about that crap. Good Lord. God
G.O.S.S.
All right, go ahead.
The G.O.S.S. This is something that I have heard Crom talking about. I have tried my best to. They're like my 2 white whale guests. Like, I've always wanted to have Doomstone Crom on my show. I've always wanted to have Crossface Killa on my show. Those guys are hard to book. But so a lot of people say they say about the bros, oh, you guys didn't invent anything. This has been in the books all along. Now, it's probably the same people that said that the guy that wrote the book never played it that way, and everybody always played it that way, so it's not a big deal, and nobody ever played it that way, so it's not true. So all of that we get. But the G.O.S.S. is something that's totally new. The G.O.S.S. is the thing that we've been after. Well, it's one of the things. The thing that we're after with this, with trying to relearn 1E the way it was written, is what are the 2nd and 3rd and 4th order knock-on effects that happen if you play with these rules that everyone jettisoned. What did they bring to the game that nobody else recognized or realized? Maybe even some of the founders. But when you start following that logic and playing these games, you start developing your own vocabulary and your own solutions to the unique problems that come up that you just don't see in other games. And one of them is when you're running one of these either session Braunstein. I think the G.O.S.S. probably more comes into play in Type 2 and Type 4, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, G.O.S.S. is the General Observation Subsystem invented by Doomstone Crom, who's one of the bros.
Brilliant guy.
Yeah, I think he was in the Brooks Tea for like a cup of coffee. but he didn't need nothing from me, so I don't blame him for moving on. Like, he was already a main eventer. So I don't. I hope I did justice to the ideas behind his concept. I wanted to pay homage to it, but I think it's needed. Like, G.O.S.S is great. I've not run G.O.S S. I didn't run G.O.S S in a long-term campaign. I ran G.O.S S in my Traveler thing I did last summer. Like, Moonstein 2, I use G.O.S S. You can kind of adjust it to what you need. I give it a version of G.O.S S in here that I think would work well for UMBROS. It's theory. So if you run UMBROS and are like, okay, these numbers don't add up, these percentages aren't good or whatever. But the basic idea of G.O.S S is that when you have a Braunstein, which is multiple actors in a fog. What's the definition? Something fog of war?
Yeah, there's multiple parties acting in conflict under a fog of war.
Under the fog of war. Fog of war is the most important thing. Your only job as a referee in a real D&D campaign is to have a fog of war. You are establishing a fog of war. You're controlling a fog of war. That's what a war game referee does. That's what a good and real D&D referee should do. You're going to have some creativity there with a low prep game as well, but generally speaking, the fog of war is the most important part. But what happens in a lot of always-on campaigns, in my experience, is the fog of war gets too thick because the DM can't jump in. The DM just doesn't have it. Like, he can't invent everything all the time, or he can't know what everyone's going to know every minute. And then something like Axe invented a way of doing that with war games, of the recon checks, but they are completely untenable. You just cannot run it because it's multiplied. If there's 4 armies, you do 16 checks because it multiplies by the number of armies times. So if you have 5, you have like 25 checks. If it's 6, you have 30, it's etc. It's like
it's out of hand.
It basically is squared, and it's just too much because you have to do it like every week or whatever. G.O.S. limits it to, you make a check per action that a player takes that might possibly be something that would matter. So if someone raises a new army, you make a G.O.S. check and find out if everyone knows, or one person knows, or a couple people know. If someone tries to assassinate someone and kind of like does it half-ass, you kind of check to see who knows about it. Just anything that's interesting or important, any convergence, you would do a G.O.S. check on. Any diffusion, which you think might be something that would be newsworthy, you do a G.O.S. check on. And essentially, the ones I came up with is, it's public. It's like, if you roll 1, you do a D8. If you roll 1, it's public knowledge. If you roll 2 or 3, it's the
target secret.
And then 4 or 5, it's a false rumor, which is really fun for DM, by the way. Those are fun. False rumors.
Yeah.
Those, half of my Moonstein campaign was just enjoying making up false rumors.
I got some stories about that once you're done.
And then if it's 6 or 7, it's hidden action, like it was just hidden. And then 8, I added, this is something new that I don't think Doomstone had, was deception and framing. Like, you can kind of frame someone for it, basically. Like, you're like, it wasn't me, it was the one-armed man, kind of deal. So I think but any week in a normal weekly Braunstein or whatever, you're going to have like maybe 5 to 8 actions. That's not really that much. You can just roll 5 or 8. If it's public knowledge, it's pretty easy. You just make an announcement, hey, this dude did this, and everyone knows. The ones that are going to be a little more complicated is like the false rumor, but those are fun to do. So you're not even going to be begrudging that you have to do it because it's fun. So what G.O.S. does is it pierces the veil of the fog of war in a fun way that brings in the DM in a creative way, as opposed to boring junk like a recon check.
Yeah. All right, we got another $4.99. Thank you, Brendan Lyle, for the support. It says, love the stream, boys. Happy Feast of Christ the King, and hashtag submit to Rome.
Hashtag submit to Rome, my friend. Good job. I love that. Yep, Christ the King feast today. That's good. One day, the moose will be loose in the Catholic Church. It'll happen. I can feel it. But we'll
pray
see.
For that day, my brothers and sisters.
Yeah, he's got the white today. It's very, you got a Catholic look. You got the wreath behind you. Yeah, I could see that.
That was from my Jenny D arc.
I don't know what that means. So
okay,
I don't
never
want
mind.
to know.
It's
Move
best that
on.
you don't. The point I wanted to make about the G.O.S. is like that is one of those moments where you have to trust your DM as well. When you're like I got up to some shenanigans on Moonstein. I will not deny it. Now, was I painted into a corner? That's not for me to say. But there were some just crazy things that I got up to, and part of it was I was reaching out and sending these kind of maybe a little bit obsessive notes to the character that you had made up that was like the reporter. Do you remember the reporter character? I
Yeah,
think
I would like to say that my Moonstein 2 Type 2 Braunstein that I ran in the summer of 2025, G.O.S. was so much fun and so interesting to run as a referee that it ended up basically creating a NPCs. I
yeah.
created like when I had a false rumor, I would have the information reported by like the corporate media.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had like
So
a
good.
true rumor, I would have it reported by like this plucky reporter gal who got like fired from the corporate media,
Yeah,
who
she
was
got
like
in a lot
running
of
a
trouble.
podcast. She got in trouble. She almost got shot a couple times. It was just an NPC I made up because it was like G.O.S. was so much fun. It became like a character in the story. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like my ending to my Type 2 Braunstein was like a G.O.S. check. Like I was like, okay, let's just let it all out. Like let's tell the whole story now. Like, and it was because the
I
good
was
guys.
gonna kidnap her at one point to tell my story.
Yeah, I mean, it would have if you would have rolled right, it could have happened. It was a
If I hadn't accidentally detonated my internal explosive.
true. You did do the thing where like the Heath Ledger Joker, where you put like a bomb in your belly. That was ridiculous, but it was
I
a
was
lot of
trying
fun.
to beat Takeshi out of jail. That was my one part of my plan.
I don't know why you'd want to break him out of jail. The first thing he'd done was chop your head off. He was lawful good, but hey,
Probably, yeah.
we're off on a tangent now. But it
Off on a
was a
tangent.
lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Regardless, irregardless, the thing that is so funny when you're playing, if you're a good enough player, let me just throw that caveat out there, is when you purposefully try to plant a rumor of what's happening. I send specific message to B-dubs about what my guy is leaking to the news media, and then to see the report that morning, and it is totally different than what I told him. Like it touches on a few areas that I was trying to get across, and it interprets them incorrectly and like paints a horrible picture of my character. And that was so hilarious and fun because that's what the media does anyway, right?
That's how they roll, my friend. That's how
and
they roll.
the thing with the G.O.S. is that's not just him being capricious. Like he's rolling. There's a chance that it'll go down exactly like your secret will be known, that the spy will have overheard the conversation and the true message gets out. But it's so much more lifelike because how many chances did the spy like? I couldn't quite hear. I think they were talking about this, and then they just run with the telephone game, and like that's what G.O.S. brings to your campaign. So the fog of war is preserved, but it's not perfect. It's permeable, and there may be like little nuggets of the truth that come out, but some of it's just going to be really confusing and hilarious, and can even set up its own convergences that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
That's exactly the point. What I actually concluded here, G.O.S. This is a quote from UMBROS. G.O.S. has pierced the campaign's fog of war just enough to be useful without too much of a burden on the referee.
Yeah.
So Axe is kind of like a burden. G.O.S. is like fun. And it's like you can use it as a player, but you can't like exploit it to the degree that maybe you can in an overly complicated system.
So Dornall says G.O.S. would be enhanced by making players be the media. See Gangbusters and Cyberpunk. That's exactly right. But here's the problem with that, Dornall, as my character J Jumper Jameson can tell you. What was that one? BROZER Diceless. Sometimes they recognize that you are trying to pierce the fog of war, and your character gets boiled in the first act. So
well deserved. But yeah, it's actually better. Well, in 1E has an answer to this, and it's assassins with spy checks.
Yeah.
So it's like they just see through that crap. They will just do a spy check, and if they succeed, they just look through the G.O.S. So
yeah, and here's the thing is, this stuff all builds on itself, right? The assassin check doesn't make sense if you're not playing 1-to-1 time. The downtime spying tables are useless if the whole world pauses between sessions and you can't even do stuff outside of the game, right? So it all builds on each other. 1-to-1 is misunderstood, but if you don't even try it, you'll never see the other stuff you get from it. And that's our starting. That's like way back at the starting line for us. We are so far beyond that. If you can't accept that, there's a whole dimension that you're not even your brain won't even go there.
You may not like it, but accept it.
That's right. You finished the chapter saying that about the Jeffregaxian. You may not like it, but accept it.
Oh, I did finish that, didn't I?
Yeah. Man, Hikaido-san says manipulating G.O.S.S as a player is the real cloak and dagger play. Exactly so.
No, that would be great. I love when players do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and Josh says, I love that the comms were CB radio chatter. Yeah.
Yeah, the Moonstein 2 was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It burned me out. I can tell you that a Type 2 Braunstein can burn you out as well, if you have to be really creative, which I was doing at that time. Good Lord. Man, I'm making you so much cast under.
Heck,
look at this.
Bro, yeah, you are coming back next week, right? Tag 1080, aka Captain Hook, says for $5, play chainmail, buy UMBROS, do push-ups, go to church. Thanks, bros. Tag, are you gonna be a docketing champ? Are you gonna docket some chainmail for some UMBROS play?
Hope he does. I hope so.
I hope so, man. We need to unite the clans. Raptor says Serious DM does a really good variation. Players send him the rumors of their action. He then posts it in a Discord rumors channel.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, that can work. I think you should do a check on if the rumor goes through. But like that again brings in like thieves and assassins. Like thieves and assassins would be good at that, whereas like fighters and stuff wouldn't be as good. So you could even bring in like thief checks or assassin checks to see if the rumor goes through clean or whatever.
All right, he says, I'm currently running a 600-figure chainmail game. We'll see what I can do when that is done. Right on, man.
No, you're not. None of you guys actually play. By that doesn't mean you painted them and set them up in your room and look at them. Come on.
Do you do the mouth noises when they shoot at each other?
I'm just kidding, Tag. I bet you do. I'm sure.
No, if anyone does.
If you're tuning into this podcast, you're already a winner in my book.
No, Tag, if anybody does, it's like there are some guys in this group, Alchemist Breaker, Tag, R-Dubs, World of Worth, or Purple Druid. There are some guys that know the crap out of chainmail and have like been finding all the edge cases and stuff. But all right, let's move on before we go off that cliff again. Appendix C is about Joshua Gaxian space. Joshua Gaxian. I've experienced this, but what is that? For people that have no idea what that is, what is Joshua Gaxian space?
Yeah, we can't claim exclusive credit to this like we can with G.O.S.S. The bros can't claim credit to this, but Josh is the one who put it into practice in like a way that's pretty big with the Space Stein, which was go ahead, Kirk. What is this?
Oh, that's all right. I was just throwing that up there. Rob Hampton, Dragons Beyond says current Midnight Chainmail champ is me.
Congrats, my friend. The current Midnight Chainmail champ. I don't know what that means, but anyway, Joshua ran the Space Stein with Joshua Gaxian space. Of course, he didn't name it that because he's a very humble guy. He's very humble.
I've noticed when other people name stuff, it doesn't stick. When you name something, like that's what it's called. So I don't know what that's called, like leadership or influence or whatever. But man, if B-Dubs calls something, that's just what it's called from then on.
It's promo skill is what it is. Joshua Gaxian space is where you have your real life space aligned in some way that's kind of parallel to the game world space. Again, the bros can't claim credit to this because I'm aware of a very uncomfortable and sad and depressing and frankly gross situation where Harmony Ginger was put into jail in the actual Braunstein, and there was like a jail sticker over her head. So that would be Joshua Gaxian space, as in the area of the room in the real life related to a game world part of the game world. Now, the bros would never do something so disgusting, pathetic, and supine. But Joshua went ahead and made Space Stein where
didn't he also make her act like a woman who looked like a man or something?
Oh, I don't know. I don't watch the women's division. But
It was on my channel, bro.
Joshua, sorry,
Go ahead.
I don't listen to all the Dunder Moose podcasts, just my own. So
just the good
Josh was like, I will make voice chats in Discord that you have to pass through and spend time in to get to the next room or whatever. So then people will intersect and have interactions. It's very, very clever. And in real space, if you had like an actual real life meat space game, you would say like, okay, the kitchen is the what are you laughing at now?
I'm laughing because I just realized that Joshua Gaxi in space backfired on him, and again, it was my fault.
Everything is your fault. So you could have in real life, the kitchen table is like the room of the court, like where you meet the king. Your basement room can be like the private inn. You go out to the hallway, it can be the hallway between them. And the people physically stand in those places if their character is there or whatever, and they have conversations in there. And if they see someone across the room meeting and talking in there, even they're whispering to each other, they know, oh, those two guys are talking. What's going on there? So that's Joshua Gaxi in space. It's very immersive. My favorite buzzword, Jeffro's favorite word of all time, immersive.
I heard Fluid likes that word too.
Yeah, a lot of people like that word. But Joshua kind of took it and turned it up to 11. And when you turn something up to 11, like he did with having the voice chats, then you get credit for it. So
yeah. Tag says the spatial meat space considerations are significant. Great stuff to point out. The reason I'm laughing, towards the end of the Space Stein, somebody released an alien, like a face hugger, and Brigadine, of course, being Brigadine, was right there with his gun when it happened and just blew the sucker away. But the acid started eating through the deck, right? And so I start running. I'm like, everybody get to the escape pods. Everyone get to your ship. The hull's going to get breached, because I thought it was going to go all the way through the outside and just like, vent space. And I didn't realize Brig had a plan for like how to seal up the ship so it couldn't do that. The space station we were on. So like I ran, because you couldn't just jump straight to your spaceship, right? You had to run through every intervening room. I believe the way Brig described it was Dunder ran through the whole ship with his hair on fire, screaming, "Everybody panic!" So
that sounds like you. Yeah, definitely sounds like something you would do.
Everybody gets into like two small spaces, and there was also the Thing was on the ship, and the Thing was able to just quickly and easily devour us because I just pushed all the players right into its maw.
So that's what Joshua Gaxi in space can do for your campaign, ladies. I'm sorry, men, guys that are here, the ladies here. Good Lord. Yeah, so that can do that.
We probably had one until you run. Appendix D, Mandolfian domain economics.
This was the hardest nut to crack. This is the toughest one. First off, I had to get Macho Mandoff, the player. I had to get some time with him. And he's in Australia, and I am not. So that makes it a little hard to talk on the phone with this good dude. I was going to ask him to basically write it, and he kind of had some stuff. He had some ideas. And then when I went back through what he wrote, I was like, this is basically your blog. So I went back to his blog, and I just started quoting his blog and sort of put it into a form that kind of fits UMBROS in particular. This is all from some very hard-won ideas about what I think makes for better domain play. I think the best way to do domains in a real D&D campaign, or any kind of campaign really, is something parallel or exactly the same as what Mandoff did with the Macho Mandoff domain. But maybe with a little bit lower amount of checks, and maybe with a little bit more DM oversight involving G.O.S.S, involving docketing and all this type of stuff. So you kind of
corral it to a convergence instead of letting it be a diffusion.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of diffusion with what Gandalf did, or he would do a thing where he would have a random encounter happen, which is okay. Let's back up. Mandolfian domain economics is based primarily on having random encounters for your domain once you've established it. How you establish a domain is pretty well described in the 1E DMG. If you want to establish one as a player character, that's the way to do it. It's really well laid out. It's interesting. It's fun to play. A couple people have done it solo. I think one of the bros did it where he just did one-on-one with a player, and they just established domain rather than like dungeon delve that night. I think it was Dornall, maybe. I don't know. It was definitely one of the bros. But basically, you establish a domain, and then you start getting random encounters. And in this chapter, this appendix D, I start talking about how often you would check that, what kind of stuff you would get, and what you do when you get those encounters, and how to then you docket them. You make sure you have some DM oversight. You try to focus it on convergence as much as you can. If it's something that's just going to make the guy money, you just let him make money, and then that's how he makes his cash that month or whatever. So
yeah.
I find that more interesting and more useful because, number one, the player rolls most of the dice and takes care of it, and then he comes to the DM with the stuff that needs the adjudication. So it takes a lot of stuff off the DM's shoulders, which is really important in these sort of always-on games or a total nonstop game. But then it also focuses on convergence because he comes to the DM and the DM takes it and turns it into something fun.
Yeah.
Now, what Mandoff did is he took it himself and turned it into like a quest or something for his players that he was running that week or whatever. But I think that you can do something a little bit more dynamic with it if you converge it and that type of thing.
Right on, man. And I put the link in the chat for my if you go to castleport.blogspot.com, back in February, back in Feb, Macho started how to build a domain in AD&D first edition. It's like a 2 or 3 part series about how he was doing that. If you're curious.
Yeah. And I quote some of that in this chapter, in this appendix.
Dornall points out domains as a solo activity is a one-way trip to Snoozeville. B-Dub's suggestion to bring in the ref when encounters happen strikes a good balance between Snoozeville and burned out DMs.
Yep, exactly. If there's the cool thing about 1E first edition, which you should run with BROZER, that's designed for first edition. I can say that on the podcast. I can't write that in the book.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes like, WotC will chase me down and beat me with sticks or something. But I can tell you guys this if you're listening. Run it with 1E. And you can take one thing that's cool about it is when you get like merchants, you just get paid. Basically, you just make taxes on them, you get some money. So the players are going to want to not forget to do that each month or each week or whatever, because they're going to want to have to roll that chance that they just have a merchant show up and give them money. So you're not going to have a player that just stops doing it, basically, which is something I discovered with what Mandoff was doing, as opposed to what was happening in my campaign with Always On with Axe, is that players would just not do the stuff that could kick their butt. They just wouldn't do it.
Like, we just want to layer smash. We don't
want to. Like, we just want to layer smash. We don't want to do the tax stuff or whatever that could actually lose us money. But with 1E, with the possibility of a merchant showing up, they would want to take the chance, make the roll, because they could get super crazy paid if the merchant showed up.
Yeah.
But if the merchant doesn't show up and it's orcs or bandits, then they can come to the DM and be like, okay, it's orcs or bandits. What does this mean?
Yeah. And in 1E, if you ignore the orcs or bandits, then they just set up shop there, and they the hex stops being cleared and like starts reverting back to wilderness unless you handle it.
And then again, where UMBROS is an advancement, in my opinion, Axe will say, oh, you send the garrison out, you compare the battle ratings, and then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
With UMBROS, in my advice, is the orcs show up, you have the faction player or the PC or whatever who has his domain decide what he wants to do about the orcs. If he wants to send 100 men against them, then you docket that stuff.
Yeah.
And you make it play out. And then if, again, something I didn't mention about docketing, something I would say all DMs should do if they use this approach. If the players stall and don't want to run that war game, it's just quagmires. They're all like stuck out in the mud. They're just, those troops are not available because they're stuck. So you can have it go on for months and months and months. Like, okay, you just can't finish because you can't get somebody to run the war game. You can't get somebody to run your side. You can't get a referee to run it.
Just a war of attrition.
Yeah, you're just out there. Those guys are stuck and they're in a quagmire. So that will get your players to actually run the war games that they don't want to run, because they know that they can just lose or whatever. So you get past the Axe advice of just do some quick battle rating checks, and then you get past the chainmail guys never want to actually run anything. They just want to post about it on Twitter. you get past both of those things to, as long as you're not running this thing I've docketed, those guys are stuck. So that's something I advise in the docketing section as well. Going back to that real quick. But yeah, go ahead.
Right on, man. So moving right along, I mean, this topical Appendix E is about hiring and training troops.
Yeah, I don't have anything really to say on that in the podcast, but
okay. I mean, it's a short section in the book.
This is hard won knowledge. Essentially, what I found with Dubs-Aron is people were just kind of like using the numbers in Acts in particular and just like building these huge armies. So my advice is to sort of make it more story-based, bring the DM, think about the convergence aspect of hiring a bunch of troops. That's kind of the advice there, but it gets really specific, but I don't have anything to add to it beyond what's in the book there.
All right, moving right along then. Appendix F is how to make your own Braunstein factions. And
yeah, I think everyone should just read the first part. Is generally speaking, you shouldn't. Don't do it.
Yeah,
don't make them. You suck. You're bad at everything. Don't try to make your own faction.
And at the end it says, so do not overthink it. Don't clutch your dice in fear. Once you have run a long UMBROS campaign, you will know exactly how to forge the factions of your dreams. Or if you're a PDF shill, a faction for your own Braunstein module, just be sure to give me credit.
Do you think here's the $1 million question? Will they actually give me credit? But I'm sorry, dozens of dollar question for PDF shills. Will they actually give me credit?
Only time will tell, I suppose.
Go ahead.
Next up, you've got random encounters. I mean, it's a full setting, and so you're like, man, if you're in the Glarewood, here's what you're gonna run into.
Yeah, baby. And, you got to do that.
You could run into Ferrigno himself if you roll a 2.
Yeah, it's very unlikely. I use the Monster Manual 2 thing, which is a D8 and a D12, and you add them together, so it makes like a. I even left the very rare designation versus common and all that. I used it to build the tables, and then I was like, I'm just going to leave it so people know this is rare, this is common, etc. But yeah, there's not much to say on that. That's kind of like the UMBROS setting itself, which I think we can get to here near the end. Followed
by a bestiary, and then Appendix I, battle rules for old school fantasy games. This is the section I haven't read yet. Is this kind of like what BROZER was, where you talk about scaling and stuff, or is there?
Well, I've got news for you, my friend. You probably have read this in BROZER. It's just cut and paste from BROZER by permission of the tribal chief himself.
Okay, so I have read this.
Yep, you've read it. Sweet. I just took it out of BROZER because I think it's the best way to run, because I'm tired of hearing about chainmail. Which you all may have gathered by now.
Here's another little freebie. I'm just going to read the whole of Appendix J to you guys right now. UMBROS is free because I love you. You are a child of God who deserves to enjoy the common good of excellent gaming. You and your gaming friends are in my prayer intentions by virtue of acquiring this work. Please help expand the common good of excellent gaming. Share UMBROS and Braunstein-style gaming far and wide. Please consider baptism into the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. For when you submit to Rome, you need not Braunstein against the principalities and powers of this fallen world. For Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God, has already won the final victory. Hell's reach may prevail against First Haven in the fantasy world of UMBROS, but the gates of hell will never prevail against God's church in this world. Join the winning side, and I pray we meet again in heaven at the end of time. We'll have such incredible Braunstein stories to share. And I don't know, I mean, if that should sell everybody who heard it right then and there on picking this thing up and buying a hard copy for yourselves, for your coffee table, for other people that are curious and are going to come across this. So we've talked about the philosophy. We've kind of talked about what it is, but let's get into the actual provided setting and stuff. You are a bro in the BROSR, and you go to your appendix and sources. So what should people read to prepare their minds and hearts for running an UMBROS campaign?
I mean, the main thing to read is unfortunately kind of sidelined Burroughs' work in at Earth's core and Pellucidar. Is that the pronunciation? Pellucidar?
That's how I say it. Pellucidar. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if I say it right.
It's 2 books, right? And then there's a Tarzan.
I don't know if I'm like
there.
Jeffro saying Panacea when I say Pellucidar.
Yeah, Panacea. There's also, I think, Tarzan at Earth's Core as well. I would recommend that. I haven't read that one, but I bet it's good. I would recommend it. So, yeah, Appendix Tag is add. What about Appendix L? How to wrestle? I can't add to that. He has to get cross.
You got to get cross-faced for that one.
Yeah, he actually can
or
do that.
Yeah, or OM.
Yeah, I've got one of my players knows jujitsu as well, so one of my Dubs Run players. So maybe he can reach out to me and I'll
Ryan Howard is learning.
Yeah, Ryan Howard can hook you up with that. He said he washed out, so I don't know. He seems to do good babyface promos, so I think he can help you with the stick. He can help you with the mic.
But, I need somebody to help me be apparently I need someone to help me learn how to be a heel.
Doink the Clown. We've already figured that out. Put your makeup on, my man. So UMBROS itself is primarily based upon At the Earth's Core and Pellucidar. And there's a couple reasons.
Art on the cover, man.
Yeah, I actually put it on the cover because there's 2 reasons. First, it's public domain, and I can use it. I can use it for free as much as I want. And any of the references to those 2 books are in there, but I don't reference anything that came like later that may no longer be public domain, or like comic books based upon it or anything like that. So that's number one. Map. Yeah, there's full color map on like near the last page. It is the last actual page with real print. And then my thing is the At the Earth's Core and the Hollow Earth concept is unfortunately not given enough credit in American culture and geek culture, like respect. And the Lost World concept that is in here, I know that Burroughs probably wasn't the only one, but he was one of the primary ones. Because he also has there's another story. It's The Land That Time Forgot that he also wrote. And between At the Earth's Core and Land That Time Forgot, you basically have King Kong, which is like the most important science fiction concept in basically American history. Essentially, I mean, it basically created film. It's like American film. So you've got that, and the Hollow Earth concept is also in DC. DC Comics uses it a lot. I was watching DC stuff with my kids, the DC Universe cartoons that are on HBO Max and stuff this last year and a half or so. And there's like an episode where they just go to the Earth's core, and I'm like, this is literally at the Earth's core. It has all the same stories. It has all the same. It has like lizard men. It's literally the same thing, except like Supergirl's there with like, a couple of the superheroes. It's the same concept.
Was it H.G. Wells or Jules Verne or somebody did a Journey to the Center of the Earth?
I don't know. Chad, help us out with that. I think it was Verne, but I'm not 100% on that one.
So there's a rich mythos there. There's something primal about it that taps into a human.
So I think but then you take it beyond that, and you're like, okay. Well, of course, it's like I said, it's in DC. Jules Verne. Okay, thank you, Bob.
Yeah. Thanks, Bob.
But then of course you got King Kong, and then I was recently watching the kind of junky like popcorn trash movies of like the recent American Godzilla movies. They kind of suck.
Yeah.
But the sci-fi aspects are pretty cool because they go to the Hollow Earth.
They do.
There's like a situation there where like the King Kong's like floating in space because there's no gravity at the very, very center. And it's like, it started occurring to me, like they're just doing this stuff in this American culture and sci-fi concepts that they're just like, they're not giving credit. It's kind of like similar to like George Lucas with like Star Wars not giving credit to John Carter, and Superman doesn't give credit to John Carter and this type of thing. And so I was like, okay, this doesn't get enough play in D&D modules and D&D play. And the 1E DMG has like a primal or prehistoric random encounter chart in there.
Oh yeah, total section on dinosaurs in the monster manuals.
Yeah, and I'm like, these just don't get used enough. But then you say, okay, but then the OSR's done a lot of play where they talk about running Isle of Dread. Isle of Dread is basically a ripoff of Skull Island from King Kong. So it's kind of like it's almost like it's like a cross pollination, sort of like samurai films and cowboy films of the 70s. And
Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, like, and then Yojimbo versus Fistful of Dollars and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you kind of have that going, like, okay, Skull Island is Isle of Dread, which is also Land That Time Forgot. It's like it's all the same stuff. And Burroughs is highly recommended in the Appendix N. So that was kind of my thing where it's like, let's go with this. And when you read At the Earth's Core in particular, there's like some war stuff in there between like lizardmen and pterodactyl, like psionic pterodactyls and this kind of deal. So, and I think that the psionics in particular in 1E probably come from At the Earth's Core with the pterodactyls that have like mind reading. Oh, and by the way, the also Marvel Comics uses the Hollow Earth. Or at minimum, they use the psionic pterodactyls, which is called Sauron, which he fights the X-Men. He's one of the X-Men's villains.
Oh, yeah.
Which he shouldn't. I feel like he would get sued for being called Sauron, but he was called Sauron. But he's like a psionic pterodactyl. Which
did they spell with a PS, Sauron?
I don't think so. I think it's spelled the same as the Hobbit.
Oh, man.
But he's a psionic pterodactyl. Just like,
what if that's what happened when the ring got destroyed? Is he jumped into another IP and that's how he survived?
That's worse than chainmail posting.
Sorry.
So Sauron from the X-Men is a psionic pterodactyl, just like At the Earth's Core is the main villain, or psionic pterodactyls. So I'm thinking like, man, we don't use psionics enough. So that was one reason I wanted to do UMBROS, because I wanted to get some psionics in there. So if you're an expert player, you can run the psionic pterodactyl faction, and they're pretty cool. But I also give an option in there
of the Mahar.
Yeah, Sarith. Yeah, the Mahar. But I also put in like psionic type abilities if you're just like don't want to run psionics, or you want to run BX or something because you suck. So I would definitely recommend everyone run psionics properly to do UMBROS, because I think it's really cool.
And you've got some just sick art. Like, look at this dinosaur rider hooded.
Yeah, that's some really good clip art I grabbed.
Clip art. And we've got some familiar faces. Frigno, the Green Dragon, makes his return.
He's back, baby.
And he brought Bob with him.
He brought Bob, he did. From Twin Peaks fame. Twin Peaks is not referenced in the book, but everyone knows.
Oh man. I've been watching it.
Go ahead, let's have some Peaks talk.
With my oldest daughter, and I just watched episode 9 of the second season. Which
one is that?
That's the one. It's like the most important episode because it solves the mystery, but it also like really felt like the show jumped the shark hard because the dialogue is all very weird. Like,
that's part of the fun, is the dialogue. Is that the one where they
capture, they trick the perpetrator into revealing themselves?
Yeah. And the fire alarm goes off, and there's like, I remember the visuals of it. I don't remember the dialogue. I remember the visuals of it.
Season 2 starts off strong, and then episode 8 it starts to like feel weird or different in a way that I can't really put my finger on.
The producers, CBS, got involved and said we need an answer to the mystery. The fans are getting mad. We need an answer.
Oh and my gosh.
Lynch and Frost never intended to actually answer who did it.
Yeah.
So after that, they spend the rest of season 2 trying to kind of recover the story. And
because like, where do you go from there, right? Like,
they go into like weird. They go into absurdist comedy for like 8 episodes. But I recommend you push through, because the end of season 2 is extremely good.
Okay, so it gets good again.
It's tough for like 5 episodes, but it has some really funny parts if you just focus in on the humor.
But because I was like, okay, they told us who did it, but like they didn't pay off Log Lady or the owls but like all the dialogue got super cheesy. Like there's one scene where they find out that the teenagers find out that their friend has been expired, and the guy rides up on his motorcycle and like the girl tells him, so and so's dead, and he like stands up and he looks out over the lake and he goes, "This is no good." And I'm just
that's exactly what he would say, though. Come on, that's good writing.
And then she's like, "What do you mean this is no good? Her or us?" and then he like stomps off, and I'm like, man, it just all of a sudden it felt like that scene in Return of the Jedi when Leia's talking to Han about Luke. Like just the dialogue, you almost get a nosebleed from the drop in pressure. Anyway, Dornall, $10. Thanks, bro. Great show, guys. I'm here for the film and TV time.
Well, let's continue. So the producers forced them to reveal the killer, and they spend the rest of the season trying to regroup, and that's why the show got canceled. And then
there were still like open plot lines.
Oh yeah. Well, it was just a whole just an excuse to be like, here's a weird place to enjoy some interesting characters. That was the whole concept.
You know who I loved
season 3, but
Josie Packard in season 2.
Yeah, no, she's good. Season 3 comes back and is like, season 3 of Twin Peaks comes back and is like 25 years later or whatever, and is like, here's the fallout of how the producers made us answer that question. And it's like 10 dense episodes of like philosophy and weird absurdist film.
Is it good though? Here's another thing that happened. I can't remember if it was 8 or 9. It was 9. It was like when I felt like the guy's in jail, and it looks like they think he did it. And his brother comes in and they climbs up on the bunk bed, and he's like, "Hey, do you remember that girl dancing with the flashlight?" And then it just cuts to like 45 seconds of 2 boys watching a girl dance with a flashlight. And I'm like, is this filler? What is this?
No, you gotta understand TV was different in the 90s. But
yeah.
If you give season 3 a chance, here's what I recommend anyone.
When do you watch the movie?
Well, I would recommend Firewalk with Me. You watch right after season 2. Yeah.
Okay, season 2, Firewalk with Me.
Yeah, it's a prequel. It goes back to like right before she's murdered, primarily. It's kind of a little bit of everything. It kind of jumps around.
Now, didn't they come out with a book? I vaguely remember the diary coming out.
It sucks. Well, no, the diary is actually not bad. I've skimmed it, but the one that like answers like everything that happened, it stinks because Mark Frost tries to like reveal everything, and that's not what makes Twin Peaks good. Well, it's not the mysteries that makes Twin Peaks good. But yeah, I recommend season 3. If you go in, I'll just tell everyone this right now. Spoilers. Twin Peaks season 3 is good if you don't spend the whole time wondering when's Cooper going to come back. Because if you spend the whole time doing that, you're just going to be mad like Jeffro was. He watched it. He was so mad. He's like, he's only back for 1 episode. It's just a regular Cooper for 1 episode. Like, yeah, but if you watch it and just accept that he's only going to be back for like an episode, it's like the show's so funny, so weird, so cool.
Okay.
So interesting. When I watched it the second time, it's one of the most fun I've ever had watching TV. But the first time I watched, I was so frustrated and annoyed because I did the same thing Jeffrey did. When's Cooper coming back? So there's your film talk, Dornall, for your $10 or whatever.
Thanks, bro. I hope you got your money's worth out of that one.
Do it. Push through season 2, Dornall. He just said he doesn't push through season 2. Do it. End of season 2 is fantastic. It's 10 out of 10. It's the last 2 episodes are so freaking good. And then season 3, Dougie is the best part. I don't care what anyone says. He's hysterical. He's funny, and he's a hero.
Robert Hawkins agrees with you. Dougie is the best part.
Yeah, he's a moronic hero. He's like Dundermoose.
Yeah.
Got you, bro.
Speaking of heroics, let's skip a few. Like Chaz, who cares about that?
Let's get to the good guy. Back it up.
Let's get to the good guy, Keldir the Scald.
Okay, let's go. Hey, for everyone who loves elves, Dornall, I'm looking at you. Chaz is back, baby. He's back.
Is back.
He can't be stopped. But go ahead. Okay, Keldir is a new character.
Yes.
That Dundermoose played in the playtest.
I got to kick the tires on this system before it was officially out. And
tell me about your Keldir experience, my friend. And what is his story? What's his deal? And how did you take that when you did the play test? I think all 3 people in the chat want to know.
All 3. All right. So Keldir is basic. Have you guys seen the movie The Northman? Picture the Northman, but maybe instead of him just staying and like fighting until everything got ruined, he stayed on the boat with the elfin looking girl. What's her name? The chick. He stayed on the boat with her, and he's like, one day I will go back to my homelands, but as long as my mother is queen, then I can't do it. Holy cow, Savage Doc. Thank you, bro. $49.99. Because I always wanted to send Dubs a pizza during the Dubs are on sessions.
Who is this person?
Savage Doc 1. You don't know who Savage Doc is?
Nah. I'm bad with names.
Savage, put your if you're up for it, put your Twitter handle in there.
Yes, it seems familiar. It seems familiar. The name seems familiar. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for the $50, bro. I'm gonna eat his pizza. I'm eating your pizza, man. I'm gonna eat it with my Chipotle. Then tag $2. Thanks, thanks, gentlemen. Gonna hop off. Go to church. Play D&D. Rock on, bro.
Oh, it's Morgan. What's up,
Robert Morgan? Okay, all right.
Oh, he's got the cash. He's a doctor. It's fine.
Heck yeah, man.
Doc, I get it. All right, cool, man. Good job, RM. Thank you, my man. That's awesome for Dunder Moose. He'll eat the pizza. Dunder, we want like pictures of the pizza on the timeline at some point.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I've got type 2 diabetes, so I might just eat the toppings. But
do it. All right, tell us about Keldir. I think RM wants to hear about this.
So Keldir. So I'm trying to picture him, and he's from what's the story? The opening story of Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. Yeah, Darnell says hashtag better donations.
Yeah,
that's right. That's how Robert Morgan rolls.
It's the Snow Women. The Snow Women is the first Fafhrd story.
Yeah,
and it fucking sucks. But I still used it. Sorry for the curse.
Right on. So so I'm trying to play this guy. I'm trying to get in his head, and I think I was late. Like I was an hour late because I had something else.
You were late, but I was like, I started to look at, and my normal advice is like, bring in this guy or that guy, and I was like, no, I don't want to bring in that guy. I want to bring in Keldir. I want Thunder to play Keldir.
Right. So Keldir starts off. You got Keldir the Skald himself. He's like a big, powerful bard, right? He's got some mommy issues. That's not his main thing, but that kind of became the main thing for me, just because I was acting, right? He's got Adis the Seer, and she is his concubine. Is she his wife? But she's the spellcaster. And she's got a magic item called the Bag of Wind. Right? She's got wind, mate.
That was a big part of the playtest session.
Yeah. Then you've also got Captain Hroth, son of Bjorn, and you've got Stubbs, the first mate, which I should note, Stubbs has a potion of water breathing. Right? So I get there. Once again, I'm sorry, B-dubs. You know, the Dunder effect, like whatever you plan for your Braunstein. All I know is he's like, okay, how did you get here? You're on your boat. And I was like, how many guys are on my boat? How many dudes did you give me on my boat? You gave me like I was like, I got my Thanes or whatever. Yeah, the crew, 40 rowers. I got 40 rowers. I'm neutral good. My pulp inspiration is Lieber, the Snow Women, the Black Shore, and Howard the Black Stranger. All right. My boat rocks. The Wave Tamer, Longship, crew of 40 rowers plus 40 additional fighters / sailors. So I've got 80 dudes, right? That's who I'm showing up with. Additional capacity of up to 20 more men. Combat movement, sail, 12 oars, 9 overland movement, blah, blah, blah. Listen to this. It's a shallow, beachable design. It carries a ram called Thor's Member. Crew fights as light infantry unless otherwise equipped. So I land in this situation, and the Braunstein's already been going for a while when Keldir gets there. And I'm trying to picture the voice of this guy, like I try to embody him. And I'm picturing just like this wind battered, sun beaten. He's like the salt spray has just been leathering his face as he sails about aimlessly trying to seek his destiny on the waves. And I just pictured him having like this really deep voice. When I started, it sounded awesome in my head, but when it came out, it kind of sounded like Will Arnett's Batman.
It was Lego Batman, guys. He sounded like Lego Batman. Okay, it was if Lego Batman's parents hadn't died and he hated his mom. That was what he played. Okay, it was fantastic. It was hysterically funny. Dunder
And
was definitely the best Braunstein player that night, for sure.
So yeah, we there was another player. I think he was a dwarf, the one that had the sword that could kill the dragon. He had a dragon sword.
Yep, we had the dwarf in there. There's a dwarf based off of. Imagine if Thorin from The Hobbit never had anyone to convince him to stop having gold lust, and he was just still like a jerk.
Yeah.
So that's the dwarf in the UMBROS campaign. He still has gold lust. He's still greedy. He still is like hates everyone.
Yeah.
That whole deal. So that's his character.
And Ferrigno the dragon hates him.
They hate each other, yeah. Because I ripped off The Hobbit and I was like, what if Ferrigno was Smaug? And what if Thorin showed up, ran him off with a magic weapon, like a special magic weapon, as opposed to like having all the crazy stuff happen. So the story behind the lore for UMBROS is that Ferrigno in the past lived down in UMBROS, flew up to Dubzaron and BROZER and lived some time up there for some decades or a couple centuries.
Caused a lot of trouble in the Dubzaron campaign.
Yeah, and then and now is coming back and leaving BROZER and coming back to UMBROS where his actual favorite home is, where this dwarf is just sitting on this pile of gold that Ferrigno had for a couple hundred years. So it's like if Smaug didn't die but just got ran off and came back later is kind of the idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, he let you borrow the sword or something. I think the dwarf let you borrow the dragon.
I kind of arranged it. So part of what was going on in our playthrough was that there was a goddess, right, named Hel.
Yeah, so the Norse goddess Hel is plays a significant part.
One L. H-E single hockey stick.
Yeah, or Hela. Some people say Hela.
Yeah. She was hella mad. I'll tell you that much. she was
crazy.
Just throwing asteroids at the ocean. So it's like we were trying to row through a meteor strike. And we get there, and I don't know what had been going on in the Braunstein up until that point. But like Ferrigno, he's not going inside the castle, so he's just kind of sitting out there in the courtyard. So he was the first person I encountered, and we started talking, and I'm trying the voice out.
Lego Batman.
And then I get inside. I finally get inside and start meeting the folks. And I don't know who's already made deals with who. And like, I have a history of like getting killed early in these things. Probably my comeuppance from my earlier history in Braunsteins. But I was like, okay, I need to get things on my turf. And I knew I had a boat with 80 guys on them and 40 of them were soldiers. And I was like, I don't think anybody else has 40 soldiers here. And so they started talking about, well, where are all these stinking meteorites coming from? And I was like, well, why don't we go find one? And you guys, I'll get some smart guys. I'll get some squints, some nerds to go look at it. And they see if they can figure out from like rowing up to one. And I was like, but here's the thing. I was like, I got men on my boat, but they get a little nervous about me allowing anyone to wear weapons on. So you got to set your weapons aside if you're going to come on the boat with me. I don't know why they were going for it, but like people were like entertaining this, right? Mm-hmm. So I get called into another room with the dwarf, and he's like, okay, look, here's the thing. He's like, I need this sword. It is the only thing protecting me from that dragon. I was like, oh no, don't worry. The dragon's on our side. He's gonna fly up high and warn us about the meteors so that it doesn't hit the boat.
Oh yeah, no, Ferrigno would definitely do that.
Right.
That's his style.
That's what he told me. So he's like, well, this sword is the only thing that can hurt him. I was like, all right, how about this? Because I had a magic sword too. I was like, you and I switch. I'm going to put your sword in my scabbard, and then you surrender my sword. Because like, I think Brigadine was like the lord or whatever, or like the bailiff, or he was the guy that was going to like watch all the weapons until we got back. So I convinced everybody was about to get on the boat with me. And then there was like this just crazy sequence of events. And this is when Angry Steak and I actually get all of the bros that were gathered. We got all of them to slap their X card. So like I'm running around and they're like, hey, is there, there's one guy's an assassin. I'm like, he's like, is there anything I can do for you? I was like, it'd be really great if my mom died. Everyone's like, who the crap is this guy? So we get out there just before everyone gets on the boat. He runs out screaming and dies. And all of he was who was this guy?
I don't remember. It was the merchant, I think. But yeah,
he had a bunch of trout.
I had to step away for some real life stuff. I was like, you guys keep playing, and that all happened when I was away.
That's what you came back to.
I came back to the most madness. You're like, okay, we're on the boat. So what happened on the boat? You go ahead and tell them what happened.
Hibobu. All right, so Hibobu comes back, and he's got all these girls, and like they were like, Brigadine was like, we need to question these girls because he thought they'd poisoned him or something like that, right? Turns out he had just drank a potion of death or whatever, like something that made him look like false death or whatever. I can't remember what it's called. He was faking it because he was trying to get something going. And so like Brigadine's trying to question the girls. I was like, hang on, Your Excellency, I got this. I'm like, why are you so naughty? And then without missing a beat, Angry Steak, whose character's lying there dead, starts role playing one of the girls. And well, that's how he wants us to be. And then everyone's like, no, I think it was Bob. Bob Steve was like, no, stop.
That was the only X card we've ever had in a bro game.
And a dozen people, because nobody wanted to hear where that conversation was going to go.
Nobody wanted. All right, well, tell them what happened on the boat. You have
get on the boat. We're like, I'm like, all right, we're going to go out. Yeah. The dwarf had his henchman on there too, though, right? His
henchman was on the boat with you. Yeah.
So we're going to go
out. I'll tell the next part. So Ferrigno was like, they were trying to like look into the sky for meteors dropping and such. And yes, it was really chainmail. So there was meteors dropping on the world, and I was trying to set up a situation where they would all have to work together. I've since revised the Type 1 Braunstein advice I give for your first session Braunstein. So based on the bad experience here, so I changed.
I made you have to revise.
So the meteor thing is gone, so that's not happening anymore. My initial thought was that I would have the hell would be throwing. Joshua says, so chainmail had to throw the X card.
So chainmail.
So anyway, they rolled out, and it was Frigno's like, yeah, I'll fly up and look at where these meteors are dropping. And he had no intention of that. Once he literally said, once I'm out of view of the city, I'm throwing a fireball. That was his
he didn't even use his poison breath on us. He cast fireball on the ship.
Well, they were like, oh. They said something like, that won't work because I'm ready for dragon breath, or I'm immune to dragon breath, or I don't know, something like that. And they were like, he was like, no, I'm casting fireball. And so
we were all like, crap.
It burned the ship up, but Dunder...
Curse you for your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
Yeah, it was like so obvious was coming.
Well, because he didn't know we had the sword. He thought, oh, you idiot. You just took that guy's sword away and then got him out. Yeah, I'm going to come help you out.
Yeah, I'll kill him. But then it was Dunder with his bag of wind, which was taken from the Odyssey.
Yeah.
I took the bag of wind concept directly from the Odyssey. So it being used on a boat was awesome because that's exactly what happens in the Odyssey. So he used the bag of wind to just blow Ferrigno around and like
I just hit him with the full force of a hurricane and just knocked him into the water.
So he like fell into the water, and then I think the dwarf's henchman was able to get in his face, and then Keldir was able to get in his face with the dragon sword. And
yeah, I jumped on his chest with the dragon sword and just started stabbing like mad.
Basically, like half of your crew just like drowned though, and you were able to get back to shore.
No, all the crew drowned.
Yeah.
Except that first mate drank his potion of water breathing. And so as soon as I dropped Ferrigno to 0 hit points, he just swam up and grabbed him and just dragged him to the bottom of the ocean so that he would
that's good stuff. But anyway, that's the fun you will have in UMBROS. The setup is gone, but you will have the fun of these characters. Go ahead.
Yeah, Josh says Dunder with a bag of wind aren't imitating life.
He does have a lot to say. Do you have any more questions, or are we done reliving? Okay, go ahead.
Chubby Funster says, Dunder, Betrayal seems to feature heavily in your gaming stories. Just an observation. And DM says, you got to pit trap Dunder as soon as possible.
I don't know what you guys are saying. Dunder's fantastic. So, Dunder, do you have any more questions, or were you just going to relive your glory days?
I've got to relive one more part of that.
Okay, go ahead.
We had my magic user was able to cast water breathing on me and the dwarf's henchman. I think the dwarf died. I think he just drowned.
Yeah, I think so too.
But his henchman and I were able to make it, and she turned into a swan. She was a swan May. So she turned into a bird, and we made it back to shore. And then I got approached by Hela herself.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
And she demanded her blade back.
That's right, because the dwarf died. It was for him only. So, yeah, that would have been a good setup for a campaign. So
that's when I could have won, and I didn't think about it till later. I just knelt and gave her blade back. But I could have said, I have used your weapon to do a mighty deed. I have felled the mighty dragon Frigna with this blade this day. Give me a boon ere I give it back. And I could have asked her for like a wish spell or for some kind of goodie from the goddess.
Well, I mean, you won the session anyway because it was kind of the setup that wasn't working. So that's why it got revised. So
I felt like I just yanked the wheel on the whole story.
We kind of needed it because everyone was kind of playing really like calm and subtle, and it just needed like some madness. So you brought that in there with those plans. I don't know who came up with the plan of like, let's just take the boat out. I don't know what, that was a stupid idea, but
that was my idea, was just to get people surrounded by my troops. So if anybody tried anything, I would have ultimate power. But obviously I hadn't taken a fireball.
Okay, I think it may have been the dwarf, but okay. So basically, yeah. But what I'm saying is, one thing in Umbros that I recommend is if you start with a session Braunstein, it's like your session 0, quote unquote, you will have a cool setup. So you basically, what you have now with that campaign, based on what he just described to you, you have the dwarf faction leader is dead and his second in command is taking charge. That's a tough situation. You can give that second in command to the faction player and let him see if he can make it work. But the sword's gone, which means they're more susceptible to Ferrigno attacking them directly later. But I take it back because Ferrigno got killed in that whole situation. So now you have a dragon lair, which we know doesn't have quite as much money because he wants to get back to his real lair. But when you do an adventure party the next week, they might be like, well, heck yeah, let's go to Ferrigno's lair because we know he just died. Or maybe one of the faction leaders says, let's send an advance party to look for Ferrigno's lair and go get that money because I know Ferrigno has some money. So basically the point being, let's go back to theory a little bit. Umbros sets you up with that session Braunstein to have a really cool starting campaign. It's like session 0, but it's not so chainmail. Basically,
you get to play it. It's like, not so chain. Goodness. There is a question from Bradford Walker. He says, "How often do you guys have players do things that make massive changes to a campaign's balance of power?" That's a good question.
Not a lot. When I ran Dubs Run, I didn't see it too frequently. It was kind of like standard things would kind of go, and then I would kind of have to force the issue.
What about Cathaler?
Cathaler was a session Braunstein. Like Cathaler is a demigod that basically came from a session Braunstein. So those are the types of things where like you realize the campaign is getting out of control and there's too much diffusion. And so you kind of have to reel it back in. So you can kind of use the session Braunstein like as a way to reel back in the diffusion. But if you start with Umbros, you're not going to need to do that. It's designed to not need to fix things. But does Dunder or any of the chat have further questions? Because I want to kind of wrap up here in a couple minutes. We're about almost 2 hours.
Yeah, hit us with your last questions. I have something occurs to me. I have played a lot of these. I feel like because of my channel, I have way more Braunstein experience than most, but I don't have the kind that answers the questions that we're looking for. I think you really need to run this for yourself in an ongoing campaign. Don't be like me. Don't just jump into a different campaign every single time you run a Braunstein, because I've had a ton of fun and I've played a lot of stuff, but I'm seeing the value of what B-Dubs is talking about here, where you have like your second bronze, like the only one that I have experience with that in. Well, there's two really. There's the very first one, the Battle Braunstein that we did based on the D&D campaign that Jeffro had been running us through. And the second one was Moonstein, which 2 different DMs, mind you. Jeffro DM'd the first couple, and then B-Dubs took it over. But there is something to that continuity where everyone playing, they hear a certain name come on stage, and like everybody knows what that means. That's a deeper level that you don't get by just sampling here and there like a kid in a candy store, where it's like, I want to apply this deep magic to my own campaign in an ongoing fashion so that it builds on the last one. And I'd say, I mean, there's only a few groups that I know of that are playing with that kind of stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
it's
Bringing it back and having long-term campaigns is really the way to go. I had somebody on the timeline, probably the dork that you're talking about, that was complaining about everything because he's a dork. Say you guys just run and you don't try and you do short-term things, or you advise you know what he said? He said you advise an Umber just to run a session Braunstein. I'm saying that run a session Braunstein, and I advise that and I push it because that's the only thing we can really get people to actually commit to.
Mm-hmm.
But my advice in UMBROS, which you guys will read, is that when you run the session on Braunstein, you're going to have like a campaign state that is so interesting that you're going to want to keep playing.
Yeah.
If I wasn't just trying to release this thing, I would have kept playing in that campaign that we set up. You know, like Frigno's dead. The dwarf leader is dead. You know, there would have been a massive power rush to get to both of those places from somebody. We would have had Battle 5 armies for both of those places. Kind of
Heck yeah.
So that's the deal. But that's about all I have to say. But just to wrap up, Dunder, if you could please, let's do like a school marm thing. If you could please turn to page 9 of your UMBROS copy.
Yes. Turning to page 9.
If you could please read the last paragraph in the bottom right. Before he reads, this is something that I thought was very well needed, which is the title of this chapter, which is 1 page, is How to Be a Player in Your First Session Braunstein. Some really amazing people are saying that this is well needed, that this is a really incredible chapter. There's really some great stuff in here, and it isn't just for session Braunsteins, but it's long-term Braunsteins. But if you could read that last paragraph at the bottom right, please.
Lastly, aspire to greatness. Players who stumble in a session Braunstein almost always share one flaw. They failed to act, or they failed to play their role. Refuse that fate. Step boldly into your place at the table and prove yourself worthy to stand beside the greatest Braunstein players of all time in Brigadine, Robert the Heel Stevens, Dunder Moose, and Vince McMaximus. Believe in your own greatness and make others believe as well.
No, and I really believe that. I think you're one of the best Braunstein players. You say you run a lot of session stuff, but you always bring a unique dynamic to it. You always bring something fun and exciting, and you're always ready to mix things up. And Robert the Hill Stevens had to be referenced in there because he won the very first Battle Braunstein.
Yes, he did.
Vince is just always.
Those are huge names to see my name among, by the way. Like I remember the first time I read that and I got like chills for a second. I was like, I don't know if my name belongs there, but I really appreciate it, bro.
No, it's I truly believe it. I think that's probably our best Braunstein players the last couple of years. Between Vince with the more of the long term,
yeah,
Brig with more of the like just winning just by being just a smart, clever guy. Dunder, you made it.
Dunder, you made it.
Dunder
I've been a fan for so long.
Dunder being the guy. I think it cemented that when you did the playtest of UMBROS, because my setup was weak and needed some work, and it did get fixed before the release. And people were kind of floundering. There were some interesting ideas, but when you showed up an hour late and you just kind of went for it, it was like, this is fun again. We're back. We're back, baby. You know, like it's so over. We're back. It was so over, and then we were back, and it was because you jumped in. And
just show up and do something crazy right off the bat.
That's the deal, my man. But that's all I really have to say on the matter. UMBROS is all about teaching people who deny that it was possible how to play Braunstein type games, and D&D in particular. it's designed for first edition AD&D, period. Everything else sucks. It all sucks. And chainmail is gay. So that's what it's designed for. I'm just trying to make Dunder laugh. Chainmail would actually work.
There are a couple questions in the chat before we sign
off.
up.
Okay, all right. I'm about to give my last promo, but go ahead.
And Brendan Lyle says, do you think you could introduce AD&D to new players with BROZER or UMBROS, or should they start with a traditional level 1 party first? I think that's a good question, because some people are like, should you start with a Braunstein, or should you not give them the high level stuff until they've, earned their way up there? What's your take on that?
My take is, if you run UMBROS, run the quote your first session Braunstein. It's in the Type 1 Braunstein chapter. Run that is sort of like a session 0. It sets the stage for what the campaign's all about. It's kind of similar to Harmony Ginger's, kind of like Godstein. They kind of set the tone of her campaign world and the themes and the things that she was going to go for, that her players cared about. What you will discover with UMBROS, if you have at least 5 people in particular, you'll get a really wild game, is that you will find out what they care about.
Yeah.
And then you can do the total nonstop Braunstein of having those guys show up to play once a week or once a month or whatever your timeline is, and then have first level guys play in the background of that as a different tier. I think you should do all tiers of play in UMBROS. I think you should, in any kind of campaign you run, any BROSR style or any real D&D campaign, have the first level adventuring party. That's what Jeffro did when he flipped the table and brought it back to Who Caresville. Like he was like, we need to go back to level 1 because Macho Mandoff is paying you guys 10 grand across the street. And I'm exaggerating. I don't think he was actually doing that to that degree, but he was rewarding us very well to do things that weren't as difficult as maybe they could be. And then you have the faction player guys doing the 9th level stuff in UMBROS, and then that kind of deal. And then they can send out henchmen and stuff to do war games at like the level 5 level on the docketing and the wargaming stuff on the wargaming tip. So if you do that with UMBROS, you're going to have a very vibrant game that has a lot going on. So I don't think you should start with the traditional level 1. I think you should start with the session Braunstein.
Yeah.
Just blast out of the park. Just go straight to home run derby.
Starting a campaign is hard. There's all these pieces you got to put in motion. What better way to start than with like the players generating the intrigue for you and giving you that step 1, right? And that kind of leads into Bradford's comment. Bradford says, it's interesting that no one talks crap about the tower, which is his campaign, or Trolopulus. They just say we do one-shots. And that's another example that I was involved in the beginning of the tower. I need to get back. I need to pick that back up because that was super fun. I was running the dwarves in the tower campaign, and we started off as a Braunstein war game where we were like moving into this map and taking, and like there were the tower was like where the evil guy lived in the middle, and like we were setting up our stuff, and there were things that I set up in that first session of playing that like are still bearing fruit. Like if you read Bradford's blog about what the dwarves are doing with the gunpowder and all this stuff, and it's like, and he we got it started, and he was like, I have enough to run with this, and he's been doing adventure sessions and all kinds of stuff. Let me catch up in the chat here with you, Bradford. He says you should, Dunder, doing an update that you need to check on. You changed the balance of power. So that's the thing. Like the promise of AD&D is that like one day you'll get strong enough to make your mark on the world. And like this is just that main line of what if you could start off already leaving your thumbprints on this world? What if the crazy stuff that you do, whether it backfires and kills you or sets you up for success, either one of those becomes part of the legend that other people will talk about what your character did when they talk to each other about the game, right?
Yep, that's the deal. And you jump right in, and I would advise, if you decide to, I would say run your session Braunstein and then say, okay, let's go back to level 1 for next week. That's what I would advise. If you can get a different group of people to do the level 1 and a different group of people to do the faction play each week and do like 2 per week, and like I advise in the Total Nonstop Braunstein chapter, that would be the ideal. That probably won't happen right away for most tables. It's not really realistic for most real life tables in particular. But I would also advise when people roll their level 1 dude to start talking about like which factions they want to align with, which factions they care about, which ones they dig, or which ones their guy thinks is cool or wants to help advance their stuff. This is things, if you're running a long-term campaign, are going to happen naturally. But if you kind of jumpstart the campaign with UMBROS or a game or a concept like it, you're going to jump right into that. So that's the main thing. What it does is it starts people thinking about the war game aspect and the Braunstein aspect early on. Yeah. You don't just, oh, I'm just going to the dungeon, I don't care about these NPCs. They're not NPCs. They're like, they can become Braunstein players any moment. They may be doing it every week, or they could be turned on whenever the DM just feels like it, you know?
And you don't know how it's going to turn out. Like in Bradford's campaign, I felt like I lost. I felt like I failed, because there was a moment where one of the players who was really into it was pushing hard for a military victory, and I didn't have the troops or the will to support him in a way that he needed to, because I was so close on getting my cannons, right? I was playing a longer game, and like we took an L. Like the forces of good got a black eye out of it, and so I felt like, oh crap, I probably played that. I made the rookie mistake in a Braunstein of playing it too close to the vest, playing too safe and careful.
You got to go, man. That's what that's why I wrote a chapter on it. You read the conclusion of the chapter, but there's a lot of good advice in there in UMBROS when you play your first thing, which is be bold. And that's the last paragraph. You got to be bold. You got to do things, and you may not in your first Braunstein. Most people don't. Most people who play their first Braunstein are not going to be bold. It's just is what it is. You feel like, I'm going to screw this up. I don't understand what I'm doing. But eventually you'll jump in and you can join the great ranks, the high echelon of Robert the Heel Stevens and Dunder Moose and Macho Man and Vince McMaximus and Brigadine. And even though Brigadine hates Braunsteins, he's really good at them.
Really good at them.
Even though I hate going over 2 hours. Here I am. It's 2 hours and 5 minutes. And,
all right, guys. You got your money's worth tonight. 5 extra minutes of B-dubs.
Man, oh man. Download UMBROS. I want to hear about people running it. I'm tired. We've got a pretty good amount of people downloading it. I can announce that the print copy is going to take a little while. It's I'm having some trouble with the pictures, getting them to push over because I'm a moron. I need Kursova to back me up on how to make this stuff actually print right. So it's going to take a little time. If you want to print your podunk ridiculous copy that Dunder printed, that's great. You can do that instead. Do that, man. Look what he's got. It looks great.
I've got it. It's like I stapled the signatures and I got it held together with office tape, but it works.
But really appreciate everyone listening. I appreciate everyone tuning in, and I appreciate any support for UMBROS. Use hashtag UMBROS if you do anything about it and you want to talk about it on Twitter, because I follow that and I want to see if people are actually playing this stinking thing, and maybe I can one day.
I haven't done a session report. I haven't done an after action report on Braunstein in a while, man. Let me know if you run UMBROS. We would love to run an UMBROS after action report and hear how it went for y'all.
That is a good idea. And then, use the hashtag and, keep it in mind. Put it out there. You interrupted my train of thought. I had something I was going to say and I forgot now. I'm
sorry, man. I keep stepping on your
mental room, all you degenerate heretics. That's my final word.
Submit to Rome. Mr. Wargame is praying for you. If you want to give us some support, go ahead and hit that thumbs up so we know you liked it. If you want more of this kind of stuff, subscribe to the channel. And if you've got any questions that we didn't answer in our time together, leave them as comments under the video, especially for those of you watching this after the fact. And I will try to do my best to answer what I know, and maybe I can even reach out and bother B-Dubs for some more of his time if you guys hit us with a doozy.
I don't have anything to do. I'll watch the comments. It's fine.
All right.
I only watch my own podcast, like I put on Twitter today. So enjoy, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We love you guys all. So much. God bless you. Good night.